When a German shepherd named Grace at the animal shelter finally began giving birth, everyone held their breath. Weeks of care, treatment, and hope had led to this moment. The long-awaited event. But the joy didn't last long. The veterinarian frowned as the first newborn appeared. They weren't puppies. Their size, their strange fur, even the sounds they made, everything seemed wrong. Silence filled the room, and tears glimmered in Grace's eyes. No one yet knew that this night would change everything. The evening at the shelter had been quiet when an old truck stopped by the gate. A pale, shaken man jumped out of the cab and opened the back door. On a worn-out blanket lay a shepherd, dirty, thin, her eyes full of pain. "Found her by the highway," he whispered. "She's not moving. I think she's pregnant." Shelter manager Linda reacted instantly. "Get the stretcher. And call Dr. Harris." The staff carefully lifted the dog. A low, almost human moan escaped her chest. In a room filled with the smell of antiseptic, the doctor leaned over her. "You're a brave girl," he whispered, placing his hand on her head. The shepherd flinched but didn't pull away. The examination confirmed it. She was about to give birth. "She's completely exhausted," muttered the doctor. "If she survives, it'll be a miracle." "Let's call her Grace," Linda said softly. "Because it's a miracle she even made it here." Night fell on the shelter. The other animals slept, but in the corner of the medical room, Grace lay with her paws tucked in, eyes open and alert. Her gaze was fixed on the door, as if she were waiting for someone. Linda checked on her every hour, but the shepherd wouldn't eat or drink. Dr. Harris frowned. "She senses something, or someone," he murmured, staring down the dark corridor. Outside, the wind howled, and it felt like the night itself was whispering a warning. Morning brought calm. The shelter was quiet, peaceful. Only the faint rustling and breathing of sleeping animals filled the air. But near Grace's cage, there was dead silence. Linda approached carefully. "Grace, sweetheart, are you okay?" The shepherd didn't move. She lay curled up, eyes open but tense, as if something invisible stood behind the door. When Linda reached for the bowl, the dog suddenly growled softly, guarding the empty space beside her. "She's protecting the air," whispered one of the volunteers. As if she had puppies there. But Grace hadn't given birth yet. When Dr. Harris saw the footage from the surveillance camera, he frowned. "Look, see how she stares into the hallway." He froze the frame. Every night, the same spot. Each night, Grace stared for hours into the dark doorway, as if she were waiting for someone only she could sense. The next morning, Grace began digging at the blanket, pacing nervously. Her breathing quickened, her body trembled. "Doctor, it's starting!" Linda shouted. Thunder rolled outside, rain lashed the windows, and lightning flashed across the dim room. Grace lay on her side, panting heavily. "Hang on, girl," whispered the doctor, stroking her head. "It'll be all right." An hour later, the first one was born, a tiny, barely moving bundle. But when the doctor looked closer, his face changed. "This isn't a puppy," he said quietly. Linda froze. "What do you mean, not a puppy?" The doctor lifted the newborn carefully. Its fur was short, almost velvety, unnaturally dark. Its body heavy, oddly shaped. He listened, the breathing was faint. Then came the second, then the third, all the same. Small, dark gray, flat-faced, with strange little paws. Lightning flashed again. Grace whimpered softly, licking her young, pulling them close, her eyes full of both fear and love. "What are they?" Harris whispered Linda. "I don't know," he murmured, staring at the trembling creatures. "But it's not just deformity." He pressed his stethoscope to one tiny chest. "The heartbeat is slow, too slow. And the blood, it's thick, metallic in color." Grace growled when he tried to move one of the babies. "Easy, girl. We won't hurt them," whispered Linda, trying to calm her. The doctor thought for a moment. "I've seen something like this before, about 10 years ago, near a research facility. They were experimenting with animals' genetic modifications." He stopped mid-sentence, glancing at Grace. "Could she be from there?" Silence. Only rain drummed on the window. Linda looked at the shepherd. "If that's true, these babies are someone's experiment." One of the newborns twitched and made a sound, not a bark, not a squeak, but a short vibrating tone. Everyone froze. Lightning illuminated the room again. Dr. Harris straightened up. "We can't tell anyone. Not yet. Not until we understand what they are." Linda nodded silently. Grace lay down, pulling her strange little ones close, as if she understood every word. The next morning, an uneasy silence hung over the shelter. No barking, no noise, as if the whole building held its breath. No one dared go near the isolation room. Even the most experienced volunteers whispered nervously in the halls, glancing at the closed door. Dr. Harris hadn't slept all night. He sat at his desk, staring into a microscope. The blood samples shimmered with a metallic sheen. He touched the glass slide, then whispered, "Impossible." When Linda entered, he looked up, eyes red. "There are elements in their blood that don't exist in any living animal," he said hoarsely. Linda sat down slowly. "What are you saying?" "That they were made," he replied. "Not born by nature." She went pale. "You mean, someone created them?" Harris nodded. "There was a project once, Project E9. Genetic experiments. They tried to create hybrids, animals resistant to radiation and disease. It was shut down 8 years ago. But maybe Grace was one of the survivors." Linda covered her mouth. "My God, she lived on the streets all this time." "Looks like it," Harris sighed. "And now she's passed those changes on." Meanwhile, in the isolation room, Grace watched every move from behind the glass. Her strange little ones whimpered softly, breathing in perfect unison. When the doctor tried to approach, she raised her head and growled lowly, her fur bristling. "Easy, girl," he said gently. "I just want to look." He lifted one of the babies and then froze. There, on the neck, were tiny symmetrical scars, surgical marks. "Linda, look. These are incisions. They were operated on before birth." Linda's eyes filled with tears. "Who could do this?" "Humans," Harris said quietly, staring at the metallic blood in the vial. "Humans who thought they had the right to play with life." Grace whimpered softly, nudging her baby toward herself, licking its face. "We have to protect them," the doctor said. But by evening, rumors had spread. Some claimed the newborns glowed in the dark, others said they heard strange electric sounds. Fear grew by the minute. "Doctor," Linda whispered, bursting into his office, "people are scared. A volunteer wants to report this to a lab." "No." Harris snapped. "If they find out, they'll come for them." He rubbed his temples. "We need to move Grace now. No one must see them." They transferred her to an old quarantine wing, cold, dimly lit. When the door closed, Grace whimpered softly, her eyes full of worry and resolve. "Forgive me, girl," Harris murmured. "It's for your own safety." That night, he couldn't sleep. Something kept pulling at him. He returned to the isolation block. The room was quiet. The babies slept under the lamp. Grace lifted her head but didn't growl, she only watched. The doctor switched on a lamp and gently examined one of the newborns. Under the skin, he felt something hard. He made a small incision and froze. A tiny metal disc gleamed beneath the tissue. "What is this?" he whispered, lifting it with tweezers. On its surface were the words Project I-9. At that moment, Linda entered. "Harris, oh God, is that?" He nodded. "Proof. She's part of it?" Grace whimpered softly, as if recognizing the metallic scent. Her eyes darkened. "If it's the military or private labs," Harris said quietly, clenching his fists, "they won't stop. We need to be ready. This is just the beginning." The morning began with the phone call everyone feared. Linda picked up sleepily. A cold, confident voice spoke, "Dr. Harris, please. This is Agent Keller, Department of Agricultural and Biotechnological Affairs. We received an anonymous report about abnormal animal births at your shelter. A team is on the way." "Wait, who are you?" Linda began, but the line went dead. She turned pale, dropped the phone, and ran to Harris's office. "They know," she shouted. "Someone told them." Engines rumbled outside. Black vans pulled up. Men in dark uniforms marked biosecurity unit stepped out. Chaos erupted. Dogs barked, cats hissed. "Linda," said Harris, grabbing documents, "we have to hide Grace now." But it was too late. The main doors burst open. A man with an icy stare walked in. "Dr. Harris," he said. "We have a warrant. We've received reports of illegal biological specimens." "This is an animal shelter," Harris protested. "We rescue animals." "We'll see," Keller replied coldly. "Isolation unit. Now." Harris and Linda exchanged a desperate glance. Grace sensed danger before they arrived. Her ears twitched, fur bristled. When the lock clicked, she growled, covering her young. 3 agents in protective suits entered. One raised a scanner, it beeped sharply. "Confirmed genetic trace. Class 3, the agent reported. Keller frowned. "Doctor. Explain." "She was found on the road," Harris said. "We didn't know what she was." "The babies." But Keller already had a tranquilizer in hand. "No. Don't touch her," Harris shouted. "She's a threat," Keller replied coldly. "Neutralize the subject." The dart fired. Grace leaped aside, shielding her young. A metal table crashed to the floor. She wasn't attacking.